So, hello and welcome to Keith and to Philippa. And many of you will know Keith and Philippa, but we're reintroducing them today because things have changed. Keith and Philippa, can you tell us a bit of your history with Busbridge and Hambledon?
Shall I go first, Keith? Andrew and I started coming to Busbridge 20 years or more ago, I think, at the stage where the boys, we'd moved over to the area, the boys were going to go to school here, so it seemed right to get involved in the community, whereas we'd been over in St Mark's. So I've done some youth work, and both of us, Andrew obviously does some music. So we've been around the church for a number of years, doing various things.
And I've been here since the early 90s, way back when Jules was a church warden and the first consistory call for the reordering of the church happened. And then we went away in the early 2000s to Denmark and the Netherlands. And I was at international churches there, so non-denominational, and then returned 2016 after being made redundant.
So you've been around in Busbridge and Hambledon for quite a while, although Keith had a break. But we're reintroducing you because you've become, or you're soon to be, LLMs. Keith, can you kick us off? What is an LLM?
Well, as a lawyer, I spent my life thinking that an LLM was somebody who'd done a master in laws. But I've recently learned that an LLM is a licensed lay minister. I followed the LLM route, which is it's a vocation as much as an ordained minister is a vocation, but it's more looking towards the community. It's an analogy, and analogies fall down, is that it can be seen as a bridge between the church and the world, or between the laity and the clergy. So there's that some sort of bridging there, standing at the entrance to the church, looking out on the community, as opposed to standing at the entrance to the church looking in to the flock.
But what that does mean is that neither of us will be wearing dog collars, and we won't be taking baptisms or weddings. We can take funerals, but I think within the church building itself, what you'll hopefully see us do is some leading and some preaching, as we were already doing. So that's what will be most visible initially, I guess.
We're disciple making disciples, I think, is the best way I've heard it described.
I like that. And how did you become a soon-to-be LLM? Did you just sit and read the Bible for 3 years? Was there anything more to it?
We were both involved in a course which meant going most Monday nights in term time and having a 2-hour lecture session, really, on various topics: doctrine, church history, discipleship, mission, all sorts of topics, theological reflection, which is very important. And then we also had some study days during the year and some residential weekends. So although neither Keith nor I would say that we know it all by any means, I do feel that I've learnt an awful lot over that period of time. And even if I don't know the answer, I know I don't know the answer and where I might be able to find the answer. So that's really helpful. We had some coaching on preaching as well, and on leading. So you feel a little bit more confident. Doesn't mean we're going to be great at it, but it just, you've had some practice. You've done some practice runs. Yeah, so there was a lot of study involved, a lot of study.
And you disappeared for a while, from January until Easter. Where did you go? What kind of things? Were you on placement? Were you just taking a break from church? Can you tell us about that break?
I was on placement in St Mary's in Shackleford, which is a lovely, lovely church with a lovely incumbent. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Slightly different congregation, but lots going on there, and a smaller congregation with many, basically just Reverend Sarah. So quite different in the very, very small team. So that was interesting and really lovely to help. And I'll definitely stay in touch with them, because that was good to just move out of your own comfort zone and go and do something different and meet some different people and just get some different ideas. That's always good practice.
Yeah, that's the whole idea, is to go to a church that's completely different from your own, so you can bring a new perspective. Coming from a very low church background, I thought I was going up to Farncombe to learn about bells and smells, but I was sent on to a Fresh Expression church. Well, I say church, it was camped out in a arts theatre in Borden. So the church is called Beacon Borden. It's just 18 months old or so. And it was absolutely amazing, the outward looking nature of the church in terms of you're starting up, you're looking for new members. So inevitably, by necessity, you're looking out. So it was a very open church. The house group I was in there was all key workers, entirely key workers. And this was at Easter time when they were expecting second surgeries around the hospitals. So it was quite an intense time, but it was quite remarkable to me what one man could achieve in bringing church to the unchurched and building church where they were. So absolutely fascinating and very difficult to leave.
I can imagine, but I'm sure both of you have many lessons that you've learned that you can bring and share with us in Busbridge and Hambledon and enrich our mission and our worship here. Now you have permission to officiate, but because of lockdown, you're not yet licensed. Once you're licensed, and now, what's next? What is God calling you to do with your study, your learning, your confidence that you've gained? What's next?
Well, we were talking about this earlier. We feel that maybe people would expect us to say, well, this is exactly what we're going to do, really feel a calling to do this, and this is where I'm going to be. Personally, I don't quite have that feeling. I'm still discerning, would be the word that would be used. And of course, we both came back from placements to a very different church environment, and the kind of discussions and things that we might have been thinking about setting up for everyone, things have changed enormously. So I don't think it's surprising that I'm not quite sure yet. I'm getting back involved in doing some preaching. That I've got ideas about the things I'd like to be doing, but I'm just sort of taking that steadily and waiting to see what opportunities arise and who says, do you know what, this would be a great idea. Those sorts of things.
Very similar for me. What is the new normal? Where is our place in that new normal? What is church going to look like? You know, it is a very different church to the one we started out in 3 years ago. But of course, you're immediately applying the things you've learned, the theological reflections, the knowledge. I'm facilitating Alpha Online, and already I can feel that I'm pulling on the knowledge that I've obtained over the last 3 years. It's really exciting for me to see the Samuels here and as a pioneer family in Oxford Ridge, because that's so similar to my placement church. So I have a holy nudge towards that ministry, but it's in God's hands, and prayerfully we'll discern our way. When I started out on this, I didn't know where it would end up. I just had a calling to begin on the LLM route. And I was very helpfully advised by James Rattu not to worry about that. As part of my discernment process, he said, just look at it as though it's like a fog, and you're just taking one step at a time, and slowly that fog or mist will clear in front of your feet and the way will be clear. The important thing is to follow the calling.
Amazing. And I think in this changing times, that idea of the fog and just taking one step at a time, I think that's really helpful for all of us as we navigate change. As a whole group of us have been praying for you both before you started training and for the last 3 years as you have trained. How can we pray for you now?
Well, I think in the discernment process, which obviously we're both part of, we have been very blessed to have been funded by the PCC to do this, and to have been supported by our incumbents and by so many people to achieve what we've done. And that was because we want to serve in some way. So I suppose the prayer is about finding where that is and doing that in the right timing. But Keith, I think you were wanting to say on our behalf a greater sort of, not a prayer exactly, but a prayer of thanks, I suppose.
Yeah, prayer of thanks. As you mentioned Philippa, our PSGs, they know who they are. Our spouses, they certainly know who they are and are very grateful that we finished. And a special thanks to Francis Shaw, who's my co-warden, who's carried me through the 3 years, as well as all the LMP staff that we were privileged to work with.
We are very thankful to have you back from your placement, and are excited to see what God will do in and through you in our worship and mission life as Busbridge and Hambledon. So thank you very much for your time and for submitting yourselves to the course and to your training. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David, for all you do week on, week out in putting these things together.
Thank you.
Thank you.